Hello. So, as we've been learning about how incredible the human body is, I thought it would be helpful and a little fun to learn about the endocrine system by tapping the glands as well as talking about the hormones that are associated with each of them. You are welcome to join me in tapping your glands if you would like, but you're not obligated to at all. This is just a learning exercise and a way for us to continue talking about how beautiful our bodies are and all the amazing things that it does just automatically. So, starting at the very top of our head or the crown of our head, if you remember hearing like the soft spot in the child's head, this is the pineal gland. This is an acorn shape or sometimes considered a diamond shape at the very top of the head. And this secretes melatonin, which, if you're familiar, this is what people take as a supplement to put them to sleep. So, melatonin comes from the pineal gland as well as DMT, which is linked to like altered states of consciousness. You can have this happen through meditation, plant medicine, as well as other modalities. But the pineal gland is up here on the top of your head, and it is the first gland that you develop when you are in the womb. And it's also the first gland that is exposed to the earth side when you come through the womb. So that's pretty cool. Moving to our third eye, or the pituitary gland. This is a very special gland. This gland has a posterior and an anterior piece of it. And so the posterior secretes ADH, which is an anti-diuretic hormone, meaning it allows you to store water in your body, especially when you are in labor. We don't want you dehydrated, okay? And it also supports the release of oxytocin, which, if you have heard about it, it's like that love hormone, something that we really want to happen naturally, but sometimes people are given Pitocin as a synthetic form of oxytocin to induce labor. So in the pituitary gland in the posterior, we have two hormones, oxytocin and ADH, okay? Additionally, in the pituitary gland, we have 7 other hormones, and this is in the anterior. So this gland is very special. It's all about the reproductive hormones that we need in our bodies. And so this produces prolactin, which is the milk that you may be familiar with that's produced in your breast and chest area. It produces melanin, so the hormone of melanin, which darkens sometimes people's faces when they're pregnant. It also darkens our nipple areas when we're pregnant, as well as the line, the linea nigra, if you're familiar with that. The line that comes from the base of the abdomen up to the top. That the melanin hormone is what causes that. And this is secreted from the anterior pituitary gland, which is pretty awesome. In the anterior pituitary gland, we have a thyroid stimulating hormone, which is sometimes called TSH. We have a luteinizing hormone. We have a follicle stimulating hormone, which is associated with like growth of your ovum, not necessarily like follicles of hair. We actually have a growth hormone, which is responsible for the growth of body parts as well while you're in the womb. And we also have ACTH, which is used to produce cortisone in your adrenals, which we'll get to next. Moving to the thyroid. The thyroid here is right in under your chin in your neck area. And if you are familiar with the thyroid, it's associated with regulating oxygen in your body, your metabolism. It's also responsible for, growing of bones and tissues in your body. And so we have 2 thyroid stimulating hormones that allow that to happen, as well as calcitonin. Calcitonin is produced here, which is calcium, which is what you also need for your bones. So this is a thyroid, as well as the parathyroid gland that's part of the endocrine system. Coming down here to the thymus gland, which is basically around like your breastplate area. It's below your clavicles. This is an incredible gland that has 3 main hormones that produce the maturation of T cells, which are essentially special white blood cells that you need because the thymus is associated with the immune system. So this gland is all about building your immune system. There's another hormone called thymosin that is produced here that allows you to have a healthier system and give you all kinds of wellness opportunities. Next, we move to the heart. which is not always considered part of the endocrine system, but for today's lesson, we are going to consider it part of the endocrine system. It secretes many hormones, one of which is important is a memory hormone, which allows you to regain consciousness and remember who you are, where you come from. If you somehow go to a different realm, if somehow you lose consciousness for whatever reason, and this is whether you're pregnant or not, the memory hormone in the heart is very, very special and important for you to return not only to your body, but with your memory before you left. Next, we have the mammary glands, which is essentially around your breast chest area. This is also tissue that's not always considered part of the endocrine system, but this is where hormones that are associated with milk production are released. And so we are going to consider them part of the endocrine system for that reason. And you can continue to move around as you would like around the breast area to activate that if you would like. Next, we have the pancreas, which is basically where your solar plexus is, if you're familiar with the chakras. It's above your navel, but below your lungs and your rib cage. The pancreas, those of you who are familiar with diabetes or maybe know someone who is, this is where we have glucagon as well as insulin. So glucagon is a hormone that is used to increase glucose levels in the body, while insulin is a hormone that is used to decrease blood sugar levels in the body. And so if you know someone who is diabetic, you've heard conversations around the pancreas, around insulin and glucagon, because they have different levels of insulin as well as glucagon functioning in their body. This is the pancreas. Okay. Moving to the back, you may remember I said earlier about adrenals. So the adrenals are above your kidneys. I'm not going to tap them because one, it's a little hard, and two, they don't need that much tapping to be activated. But they are tiny glands above the kidneys. And the adrenals are very, very important because they regulate mineral, water intake. They also produce a sex hormone. They produce a growth hormone as well. So you'll notice that there's some similarities between different glands in the endocrine system, but that they all serve a function. And then lastly, but not least, we have the ovaries and the testes. So the testes produce testosterone. The ovaries produce estrogen, progesterone, and relaxin. So estrogen and progesterone are really important for maintenance and regulation of the reproductive system, especially for those of us who have wombs, as well as relaxin, which is the softening of tissue, which is what we need as well. That's the endocrine system. Again, we have the pineal gland, pituitary gland, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, heart, mammary glands. We have the pancreas, adrenals, ovaries, and testes. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them.